Deputy Mayor Sylvestro.
Yeah, I will read the motion into the record, and Councilor Bell has asked to second this motion. Resolution to move forward with the renovation of Rocky Hill High School. Be it resolved that the Rocky Hill Town Council moves to work with the Board of Education in developing plans for the renovation of the Rocky Hill High School, address concerns cited in the NESAC report, including ADA compliance, HVAC issues, and core curricular issues, with the intention of bringing it forward to the voters for approval. Be it further resolved that the Rocky Hill Town Council seek public input into the development of these plans.
Second.
Okay, I move to the maker of the motion first.
Thank you, Mayor. This motion grew out of discussions between the Mayor and Councilor Bell after the workshop with the board last week. With the adoption of the motion, the Council will work with the board to develop plans for Rocky Hill High School that will address concerns cited in the NESAC report. The motion also calls for public input into the development of the plan. The NESAC report raises several concerns regarding curricular issues such as textbooks and technology integration. However, they are not the responsibility of the Council. While some of the issues raised are rather petty and represent little more than housekeeping issues, the report does raise concerns that include ADA compliance, HVAC issues, and core curricular issues as they relate to the facility. With regard to ADA compliance, the high school was built over 30 years ago. ADA compliance then is very different than now. You should remember that ADA compliance is not necessarily only for students and staff with permanent disabilities. You should remember that many of our students play a variety of sports and injuries are common. If you spend any time at the high school, you'll see several students walking around with crutches, soft casts, hard casts, arms and slings, and God knows what else, from injuries playing a variety of sports that the kids play. Bottom line is, this work needs to be done. With regard to the HVAC work, the high school has portions of the building that are air conditioned and other portions of the building that are not. The simple truth is that this does not work. I worked in a high school like this for 30 years, and I know it doesn't work. The school building is nothing more than an office building. What adult would work in an office building that did not have conditioned air? Why is it okay for faculty and staff and students to work in these conditions? It's a known fact that school buildings have air quality issues. This condition should be fixed. Let's also remember that the high school is perhaps the most used building we have, with the possible exception of the town hall. There's as much activity after school hours to up to 7, 8, and 9 o'clock at night as there is during the normal school day, as many of us know. Or curricular issues. The high school has several issues in this regard, beginning with science labs. This work was done at the high school. It was done at the high school that I taught at shortly after I retired. There are other curricular issues that the board has identified. And again, this work needs to be done. We've all known these improvements were needed. Therefore, the NESAC report didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. The question is, will the voters and the taxpayers support an economy that shows little signs of improving for the next several years? In my opinion, they will only support something that is truly necessary. Our jobs, meaning ours and the board, is to demonstrate what we propose meets the necessities that were raised in the NESAC report, ADA, HVAC, and core curricular issues. Vetting the board's proposal by the council hopefully will go a long way in convincing voters that the final plan contains only necessities and nothing more. Unnecessary spending that adds to the debt service will not be supported by the voters, in my opinion, and will lead to further loss of credibility, making it difficult for any plan to be adopted. And one final point. Given the long-term economic difficulties facing the state and the nation, Council should consider carefully necessities only before recommending any addition to debt service. Council should not forget that the schools are not the only concern we have. Most communities have put off infrastructure spending for several years. Just went through this discussion, and Rocky Hill is no exception. We cannot continue to do this for much longer. I ask for the council's support in this motion. Thank you, Mayor.
And move to the seconder, Councilor Bell.
Yes, I'm not going to repeat stuff that Phil just said, but simply I think that our high school students and our community deserve for our kids to go to